what's a balanced diet for a child like?
A balanced diet for a child is more or less like an old person. But now for children, first of all, you have to know if the baby has any allergic reaction to any type of food. When you're starting to introduce food, more specifically, you won't start with any food. You will start with foods that are easy for the baby to digest. And most of the time, these are the cereal foods. Okay. So things like green banana, pumpkin or butternut, sweet potato, arrowroot, the cassava. They're easy for the baby to digest. So at the end of the day, you're still taking like the same amount or the same type of food that an adult is taking to the child, but now the portion is what matters. Right. So the child has to have a carbohydrate. There must be any protein of your choice after you have identified the allergic reaction. If the baby doesn't have any allergic reaction, well and good. They can take any protein at any time. Mm-hmm. If they have allergic reaction, you remove the things that the baby is allergic to, right, and deal with things that the baby is not allergic to, and a vegetable. There must be a vegetable in the baby's food. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you do not want your baby to become obese. Mm-hmm. There research show that many children are now becoming obese, right, at a very early age, simply because we put too much carbohydrates on their food, right, we put some protein on their food, mm-hmm, and we forget giving them vegetables or a fruit. Okay. Yes.
And maybe how many times in a day? Because most of the children, you know, when they cry, we tend to give them food. Each time they cry, we give them food. Maybe how many times in a day should a child be fed?
A child should be fed 5 to 6 times in a day on normal intervals. So the first meal, after the first meal, wait 2 to 3 hours, give him or her another meal. So at the end of the day, what you're normally doing is you give a heavy meal, and then in between give a lighter meal, a heavy meal, a lighter meal, like that. Mm-hmm. So in the morning, give the baby a heavy meal. A heavy meal can be a cup of porridge. A heavy meal can be food that has been either mashed or pureed. A heavy meal can be the baby cereal, depending with whatever cereal you want to give the baby. Mm-hmm. Then in between is something like maybe a glass of yogurt, depending with the age of the baby. Okay. Either a glass of yogurt or half a glass of yogurt, mm-hmm, or a fruit juice, okay, or milk. Mm-hmm. Yes.
How about at night? Because when you wake up at night, they're crying. Should you just ignore them, or you can as well feed them?
If the baby is fed very well during the day, mm-hmm, that is 5 to 6 meals in a day, they will not wake up at night because of food.
Really?
Babies sometimes wake up at night maybe because their diapers are wet. Yeah. So the mother thinks that the baby needs, mm-hmm, something to eat. So at the end of the day, the mother will either breastfeed or will give milk. Mm-hmm. When you give milk during the night, it means that you're giving the baby some calories that were not accounted for. Okay. Yes. So if you do very well, the baby is able to feed very well, the amount of food that you're giving, the type of food that you're giving, mm-hmm, the frequency of food that you're giving the baby during the day is well taken care of. Right. The baby will not wake up at night for food. Okay. Not unless something else.
Okay, and what, yes, time durations are we talking about? Because some wake up really early, others wake up as late as 10 o'clock, others sleep early at 6 o'clock, others sleep at 10. So how do you measure the time duration for feeding these children?
Most of the time, the babies who wake up early sleep early. So if your baby is an early bird, it means that you have to start feeding like 15 to 30 minutes after they have woken up. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. So if you start early, it means that you will finish your foods, mm-hmm, early. And we have said 2 to 3 hours of feeding. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, they will still cover that same amount of meals in the day.
Right.
Yes.